Hello and welcome to Larry Has Opinions. Today I'm going to review Hostage by Clare Mackintosh. I received a free copy of this book from the publisher in exchange for an honest review. The publication date of this book is the 21st of June. Like in all my other reviews, I'm going to try to be as light as possible on the plot because I myself prefer to go as blind as I can, especially when reading thrillers like this one. The story revolves around the inaugural London to Sydney flight, where we follow Mina, who's one of the flight attendants. The story is all told in multiple POVs. So aside from Mina, we also see the perspective of some of the other passengers, as well as that of Adam, who's Mina's husband, who is not on the flight. As you can easily guess from the cover of the book, one of the characters will have to face this awful choice between saving the life of their own child versus saving the lives of hundreds of passengers, of people on the flight. Some of what happens on the plane in the story is somewhat predictable, but it's definitely the stuff of nightmares for whoever is afraid of flying or of enclosed spaces more generally, I guess. There were a couple of things that didn't quite fully make sense to me. However, the story overall remains always quite engaging and it's really easy to read and it flows really well. It also feels very cinematic, and I wouldn't be surprised to see this turned into a movie at some point. I was slightly puzzled by the choice of publishing this in the middle of summer when the story actually it's all set in December around the Christmas period. So just reading it feels very wintry. However, it's not necessarily a big deal or something that detracts from the enjoyment of the book. While Mina and Adam are the two main POVs, we also get to see some of the story from the perspective of some of the other characters as well. The character work is pretty good overall, and we get a good insight into the motivations and backstories for a lot of these characters. However, if I'm being honest, I couldn't really help but hear the author's voice and style behind all of them. So given the sheer number of POVs in this story, I think she overdid it a little bit, and I think it would have been better to rein that in slightly. One of the things that bothered me a little bit is how the author tried to insert a lot of social commentary around a lot of current day issues and themes, which I think for a 300-page thriller grated on me a little bit. I think the book was taking itself a bit too seriously from that point of view. It's not a 2,000-page sociological analysis. So hang on, I've made a list. So we've got infertility and adoption, children attachment disorder, discrimination against fat people, sexual assault, tiger parenting, homelessness, domestic abuse, climate change, anti-Muslim prejudice, gambling addiction, Black Lives Matter. It's not that these issues are not important, it's just that when you try and cram so many things into one book, I think you end up trivializing the importance of each of them. I think it would have been preferable to just pick, one or two and just leave it at that. The theme of parenthood is obviously very prominent here, like in some of her other works as well. I read I Let You Go a few years ago, where the same theme again is pretty dominant. And I also enjoyed that book quite a lot. So it's a story you can probably relate to even more if you're a parent yourself, but it's definitely enjoyable even if you're not. I also very much like the way she's handled the theme of the way we torture ourselves when something goes wrong and we start thinking, oh, if I only had done this one thing differently, then this would not have happened, and the whole chain of events that might follow. And the way, as I said, the way we torture ourselves. And that's definitely something that happens in the book. And I think it's quite interesting and accurate the way she's portrayed that. It might sound like I've highlighted a few things that didn't quite work for me, but I have to say that overall, none of that really impacted my overall enjoyment of the story. This is definitely a page turner, something that keeps you gripped and engaged throughout, or at least that was my experience. Despite any flaws, this is a really solid thriller, and if the premise piques your interest, it's something I would definitely recommend. And Mackintosh is the queen of twists and turns, and I think from that perspective, you're unlikely to be disappointed. My overall rating for this book is 8 out of 10. I hope you guys like this video. Please give me a thumbs up. join our Discord, and I'll see you the next time.